Thank you very much once again. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you back at one of my aristocratic channel of ours. And then today we are looking at module 3 of communication and 5. And then remember that in the previous video we have posted more on module 3. So this is the continuation of it. So bear in mind that you've got to refer to the previous video and get all the aspect in terms of the content coverage that we have done. Ensure that is useful for test 1 and ensure that this is useful for your final examination that you are going to write. Without wasting any time, we've got one of the key concepts that we must develop innovative expertise to report on the matter. It can be in the newspaper article. If ever there is a damage, perhaps it has happened in your area and you are one of the official, your key note of address, you will respond or report manipulatively in the target audience so that they don't panic. And then under this, we have number 1, we've got what we call selective reporting. As you can see, and under selective reporting, we are to see that here we choose what to report, choosing what to report, and not to intended to control or to influence. So number 2, it is to intended. The word intended, it shows us your intention. It is to control. And then if ever we are going on, we've got a technique, and then we are having selective or giving part of information only. That is the other aspect. And then the other one, it is emphasis on emotional aspect. So here you are triggering the emotions of the listener, of the target audience. Writing to stir up emotions. An example, it can be an overview that you are writing and you are sharing with your target audience pertaining maybe teenage pregnancy that is happening in our country, as an example. And then how do you do manipulative reporting? By means of paragraphs supporting slanted content. So we are saying that the paragraphs that you are going to write, they will support the content. So in this overview, we are to see that we've got 6 of them. The maximum, it is for 12 marks. If we are going on again, let us see. We are moving to some important aspect now, which is called the propaganda. So the propaganda, again, means now an expertise of manipulative reporting. So we are saying that the use of propaganda. And what is the propaganda in this instinct? We are saying a propaganda is a deliberate, something that you do deliberate, is something you do it on your intentions to attempt to influence people's minds. So you are triggering people's minds by means available. So you're saying that is propaganda. You're influencing people to see or to perceive things the way you see. So successful businesses, they've got people whom they can attempt to influence other people, misleading in nature. So how do you do propaganda? By misleading. Now people, you don't tell the truth, but you rather. The third aspect, you're saying we've got the elements now of propaganda. So remember that we've got 3 elements of propaganda here. So we have to see that is a topic on its own. So in the examination, they will say list 3 elements of propaganda. And then number 1, we are going to say this is ethos. So ethos, it is to convince the audience of the author's credibility. So if ever somebody has written a book and then you are saying this author is very truthful, you are deliberating, supporting the author's state of mind by writing the book here, and you are emphasizing that it's more correct and it is indeed useful. He must be very presentable. So for this to achieve the propaganda, you must present your story and you must be very presentable in terms of how you look. And then we've got what we call the logos. And then logos, it is to convince. Now here we are convincing the audience, which is the target audience. These are the group of people who are listening, the audience, by the use of logic. You make things to be logical to the audience. And then number 3, we have what we call the pathos, which is the third one. And then we are saying the pathos, it is to convince the audience by appealing to their emotions or triggering their emotions so that they can have or they can respond according to their emotion. And that it can be for a maximum now of 6 marks. You name and then you explain. If we are moving on again, we are to see that here we are having the techniques used by the propaganda. So these are the techniques. So typical example or typical question that can derive in the test series or the examinations that state the techniques used by propaganda. So these are the techniques that are used by the propaganda. And then these techniques, number one, it is called the stereotyping. And what is stereotyping? We mean that people are labeled according to the group they fall in. An example, sober as a judge. So that person, you are to see that he does not drink alcohol at all. Number two, we've got selecting only certain facts. So this technique, it says that you select only the certain facts for a bad situation. And number three, we've got substitution of names. So this is the techniques that is used. And then in substitution of names, we mean that names that are applied to people that are insulting. Example, the kafir. And then we've got the appealing to the authority. And then remember that the authorities, the people that have got power, they are vested with power. And then we are saying that using the name of the expert to support the idea. So when we are saying that the principal has said that must happen because of the authority that he possesses, this idea will proceed. We talk about the generalization. And then when we talk about the generalization, we're saying that taking one fact and making a broader or more universal statement. An example that maths is difficult. Who said that is difficult? But for some other people, they can obtain even a distinction in A in mathematics. And then the other aspect that we can discuss again, we are saying pinpointing the enemy. So you are pinpointing here the enemy. This is one of the techniques that is used more. And in finding someone or something to blame on, you don't want to blame something. That is a technique that is used in propaganda. And then we've got what you call assertion. And then assertion is making the statement in a compelling way, but many of the statement cannot be proved. An example, statement by the political leader. Petition, if you hear something repeatedly, you will end up believing it. And then lying or disinformation, we are saying that half truth and half lies is 50-50. And then we talk of the slogans now. And then we say the slogans is used to whip information by constant repetition, a finger licking good, so that it can be for 20 marks. And then if ever we can go on, we are to see that we have what we call advertising in the media. So how do we advertise now in the mass media? Remember, that is that we can do in the media. So we are saying the advertising can be by means of the billboards, it can be by television, it can be by radio station, it can be by writing newspaper articles. And then to the mass media, the word mass, we are saying that there is a target audience that is dense in terms of numbers of people that are situated in the area or that they are listening. So we are saying that advertising and the means of media advertising, we are saying that the purpose of advertising inform to tell about the products. An example, we are saying that the advertising, the purpose, it is to inform that. Number two, it is to remind the quality and availability of certain products. And number three, it is to persuade, to convince the customer of using a certain product over another. So when we are saying that this product is better than the one that you have bought, in that instinct, now you are using a weight that you are deviating from the actual content that has been given. And then if ever we can move on, we are to see that we are having here the requirement for effective advertising. We've said that when we advertise, it must be effective. It means that our target audience must be able to see it wherever they are. And then remember, we've got different types of advertising which will be suitable for the day. We are saying in a business enterprise, we must be effective now in terms of getting the customer's idea. Number one, we are saying we can do this in AIDA principles, which we are going to discuss and emphasize it later again. Number two, with needs of the customer. So the needs of the customer, we are talking about the hierarchy. What is it that they need the most? And the product that is offered in the market, this is what you sell, or sometimes this is a service. And then we are saying that a service can be rendered and it's something that is intangible, but the product is something that is tangible and can be seen. And then let us talk about the target audience. These are a group of people that are listening or that you want to share information with. And then let us talk about the objectives. And then when we talk about the objectives, we talk about the aim or the goals or the reason. And then we talk about let it be a particular feedback must occur. And what is a feedback? This is a response from the target audience based on the product or the services that we are selling. Other customers can even require you to improve the existing. we discuss now the AIDA formula. And then in the AIDA formula, we are saying the A there, it get the attention of the reader. So we are saying that when you advertise, you must get the attention of the reader that is reading. If a reader is in the car, he must get the instinct or the capacity that you are trying to talk about, that you are discussing that matter. And then let us talk about the CA. It is create an interest. So there must be an interest in them. So it means people, they must be interested in your product that you are trying to give marketing. And then we talk about the create a desire. So to purchase their existing product. And then let us talk about the make sure the action take place. There must be an action. And what is the action take place? We are saying that the actual buying of the product is taking place, and who is buying? These customers. And that is for 8 marks. And then when we talk about attention there, we talk about number one, it can be guided by how can you get attention? How can you guide it? We are saying that how it can be guided. We are saying it can be by means of the question, do you have the hair growth problem? You must ask your customers a question. And then number two, the command eat magic pap to lose a weight. And then we've got the statement that you must put, and then you must have a promise that your product is indeed the best. If ever it's not functioning, the member can bring it back. And then let us talk about the interesting, the presentation, the style, and the music that you are creating there in the business. It can take the customers' minds. And then let us talk about the interesting photographs that you are putting maybe in your salon. Let us assume that you are having your salon, and then the interesting photograph that you entail on the wall will attract now these customers. And then let us talk about the interest here. We are saying that it can be done by proving facts, statistics, or interesting information. An example, 90 people are saying that your service as a barber, it is what we need. And then if ever we can go on again, we have to see that we've got important aspects that we need to discuss again pertaining to this module. And then in this instant, we are going to discuss more of the desire. And then we are saying that a desire, it is something that is desirable that you want to achieve. We are saying a social responsibility, that is a social responsibility of a person. An example, a rand at Hope, which is also done in KFC. So this is the money that helps those that they are orphanage. Please ensure if you are having something, you are also giving them to subdue. And then let us talk about the action. We are saying that the techniques for action, they can be asked in the examination test series. And then we are saying now a special offer with the deadline. Example, the Red Friday that is happening in ShopRite. We are talking about this is an action. And then we've got the trial period whereby a member can be on the trial on having maybe the account that can be opened in the store. And then let us talk about the discount. Then this is there an amount, the markup percentage that has been decreased in a particular product is priced in ensuring that there is a clear out, or there is indeed the need for that product to go out of the market by being so advisable to the people. And then let us talk about the encouraging people to act quickly. So this one would ensure that if they are finished now at those. And then let us talk about the psychological needs of the customer. We are saying that the trigger desire using the customer's needs. So that is the psychological aspect. And then let us talk about the product or the service. Remember that there's a difference between the product and the service. We are saying that the product is something that is tangible, it can be touched, but the service is rendered. An example of the service is the electricity. So let us talk about it is related to the interest. Number two, to know everything about the product you are advertising or the service. Number three, an example, the major ingredients of making something. And number five, the product life cycle. How much can it live longer without getting spoiled or expired? Of whom we are targeting when we are writing this. Number one, related to attention and the desire. Number two, who is mostly likely to buy at the end of the day. So we are saying whom they will be interested in your product or service in terms of wanting to purchase it now. And then if ever we are moving on again, we are talking about the goals of any business. And then we are saying when you have got your business, there are objectives that you want to reach. And number one, the objective is the aim. You are aiming to sell this particular product and at this particular quantity a day. Number two, they reach a defined target market for whom, from whom, who are going to take now or to utilize your product. Are they children, men, women, working class, or just ordinary people? And then we talk about now the giving of information. They must know what is it that you are offering to them, and then you must get a feedback about your product. And then from there, the feedback from the customer is one of the key elements that must be taken to precaution at all times. Remember that the customers, they are the ones that they are supporting your business. So it is about. So let us talk about the related action from the customers and the methods at completing something. And then we can have some questionnaires in terms of the yes or no question. Is my product satisfying? Yes or no? How can we improve it? And then let us talk about the competition outside that they are selling your product. Let us talk about the request of listeners to call and give an overview and etc. So we are saying that the feedback, it is a source of information that is coming back from your customers. So about your product. So it must be taken with precaution. If we are moving on again, and then how can you present now your product to the market? You must be factual. Factual style, it means now you must have facts. The word factual derives from the word facts. Bear in mind, hard to sell. So we are saying that important facts are given to the customer so that the customer can change his mind. And then number two, we've got imaginative style is a soft sell. So we are saying that the presentation used when the advertiser does not want to give out too much of the information. And then let us talk about the negative. Now here, we rely on the negative presentation to shock the audience into watching something. And then let us talk about humorous presentation here. And then we are saying the humor attracts attention and it is for 8 marks. For me and my crew, I'm saying thank you very much for listening and ensure that you are hitting the subscription button. Also on our comment section, share to those who are concerned at MATRIC+NATED specialist. Thank you very much for your time and tune on for more. Thank you very much.